Good morning. This is M.L. Curry with my 15 minutes on workers' compensation. I'd like to welcome all of my viewers as well as listeners. The listeners, we find that on the radio we contact the more intellectual individuals who are networkers who are able to speak not only for themselves but for others. If this is your ministry, depending on which direction you're coming from, or your project, it's an outreach project for you to find an individual within your immediate circle who is struggling with workers' compensation, has been injured on the job, and of course, you know, this is someone who had a job, but at this point in their life, they may be struggling with workers' compensation. This morning, I'm sitting with Dr. Chandra Higenbotham, MD, and I'm going to be talking with her about one of the more touchy subjects that people run into when they've been injured on the job, and that is the need for health and nutrition. Most times people think of an injury as just being physical and involving only that part of the body that has been injured, but the health and nutrition aspect of how that interrelates with your injury is very important for individuals. And most people don't like to talk about the things that they eat and how that affects their life, and they don't want to talk about how their body habitus affects their injury. But we're going to talk about it. So before we go any further, Dr. Higenbotham, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Would you just take a few minutes and talk about yourself and your origins and how you got to where you are?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your program.
You're welcome.
It's a joy to have an opportunity to share with your viewers, your listeners and your viewers, a part of my passion. I'm originally from Louisiana, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay.
Yes, born in Independence, Louisiana, a small little city there.
Mm-hmm.
I think my roots start with my mom. My mom has a PhD in virology and microbiology, and so as a little girl, I would work in her laboratory with the little rats and doing research. So that
Gotta meet her mom. Go ahead.
so that started my passion about wanting to go into medicine. So I finished medical school. I went to LSU in New Orleans, Louisiana. From there, I decided to specialize in obstetrics and gynecology. So I completed my training, my residency training at UTMB in Galveston. And then from there, started working in the private arena, worked initially for McGregor Medical Association. And then in the year 2003, God put me out there and started my own practice. And I now am a solo practitioner working under the DBA of the Women's Health Solution.
So how long have you been here in Houston?
I've been in Houston since 1991.
91. That was a good year.
Yes.
The law changed in 1990 and things got a little dicey as far as workers' compensation is concerned. So you were coming in right as things were changing a lot for people. At that time, the way that a person's injury was put together as far as them getting through the process, it changed drastically in 1990. So we've been working with that system now for 20 years. One of the more helpful things with the new system is that the medical provider is able to move into areas where after a person's been injured, the injury starts to affect other parts of their body. The things that are most common is that when a person has an injury and then they have to take medication, and then the medication affects the individual with the side effects, so they have problems with that. Also, one of the things that kind of slows people down in the rehabilitation process is the fact that they may be a person who is oversized. Their body mass index may be a little higher. In other words, you're carrying, for the size of body that you are, 50 to 100 pounds more weight than you should be carrying. And if you notice on Dr. Higenbotham's sleeve there, there's a logo for Nutrimetrics. And would you talk about that just for a few minutes?
Yes. Nutrimetrics is a division of our parent company called Market America.
Mm-hmm.
It's a division in which we realize that health professionals need help.
Mm-hmm.
We realize that this is not a healthcare system. This is not a sick care system.
Right.
So it was developed as a venue where health professionals can begin to implement wellness solutions in their practice. And by doing that, our clients can begin to find ways to optimize their health and wellness from a more natural perspective.
And what she's meaning by the healthcare system versus sick care is that in our culture, individuals frequently only see a medical provider after they've become ill or injured in our situation, as opposed to a person seeking help without there being any injury, just wanting to improve their own body habitus. And in our situation, what the person is trying to do is go from having been injured to a state of normalcy. And the interrelationship of the nutrition as far as the rehabilitation is concerned, how does that work for you?
No, that's very, very important. I tell my clients, your health is your wealth. And the body has no fences. So if indeed the client does not have the basic foundation regarding his or her nutritional status, the cells cannot function. They will dysfunction. And when they dysfunction, disease begins to perseverate.
And the types of diseases that we run into as far as a person who may have had a fairly average body habitus as well as an individual who is overweight is that other diseases creep into the picture.
Yes.
Like obesity is a disease, and that needs to be treated. Then you have the incidence of diabetes, and this becomes extremely complicated because in my arena, diabetes frequently comes about from the use of steroids. And a person may already be diabetes mellitus 1, or there may be diabetes mellitus 2. Or they may be able to control it strictly with diet. But once they start taking the steroids that they're taking because of the injury, then it may move them into a category of diabetic problems that they were not in before, so that it becomes part of the person's claim as being an injury extended beyond what they were originally dealing with. We also have people who run into problems with congestive heart failure because they're so very overweight. So sometimes providers put together short-term goals for an individual, and in regard to a person being post-surgery, how does that help the person out?
Well, once you've undergone a surgical intervention, the body is then under stress and exposed to many toxins, to include toxins from the anesthesia, toxins from the medications that he or she may receive. So it's very important that we in turn begin to allow the body to detoxify and give the body the tools that it needs to function at an optimal level. So that includes quality nutrition, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, nuts, grains, and seeds, lots of hydration, minimizing physical as well as mental stress, as well as getting your rest.
I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that Dr. Higenbotham, since I'm at her office here at Park Plaza Medical Center, works very closely with Total Healthcare Management. And Total Healthcare Management is going to have a new website coming out. It's going to be www.totalhealthcare, and then management, you spell it mgmt.com. So you'll be able to access the information that Dr. Higenbotham has in regard to the health and nutrition by going to that particular website. And the phone number for those of you who may want to attend, and we're going to talk about a center that you'll be able to actually come to so that you can ask questions, get some information. But before we go there, the Total Healthcare Management regular number is 713-522-6911. And their new number is 281-556-0911. And of course, you know, Total Healthcare Management has 4 locations. They're at Chimney Rock in West Belford, 45 South in College, 45 North at Tidwell and Airline. And the last program we aired was at 12,000 Richmond at the offices of, at the central offices at Richmond and Kirkwood. And we always let you know that if you've been injured and you do have transportation problems, they do provide transportation for you and chronic pain management. And that the last part, we always talk about health and nutritional products. And that's what brings us into Dr. Higenbotham's office today, because she is the guru on the health and nutritional products. And probably my skin looks real good as a result of all these things that I've been working through her with my wife to help me look as good as I do. There are long-term goals that a person may have that once they've gone through, at least embraced the fact that they need to change in terms of their nutrition. And this then becomes lifestyle changes. And so could you talk just a little bit about what those entail that a person may want to do on a daily basis?
And you said it initially. First of all, there has to be a decision. One has to have a paradigm shift as to their thought processes to begin to say, you know what, there's a problem. Once they've identified the problem, then we have solutions to optimize their health regarding their lifestyle. And this is indeed a lifestyle. It's not a diet. It's not a quick fix. There are a lot of things out there, but we present to you and would like for you to consider to give you the ability to make better choices regarding your lifestyle. So that involves lots of education, and that's what we do with our TLS, which is Transitions Lifestyle System, but our tagline is TLS, Weight Loss Solution.
Okay. And now, for those of you who believe that this can be done without there being any exercise involved, exercise is always going to be a part of the rehabilitation process. Whether your physician or surgeon recommends that you do it at home, or whether they give you supervised exercise, it is going to be a part of the process. And health and nutrition is the other hand in this process, going along with you trying to get from point A to point B, meaning coming from out of an injured state and into a state of normalcy. This is also something that husbands and wives or paramours, other individuals in your life may have to help you with, because the personal decision to change your lifestyle by necessity is going to involve decisions that the person that you live with, they are going to have to make changes in their lifestyle also. It is almost impossible for you to go off onto more organic, more healthy and nutritional intake as far as what you're doing, and then you exclude the person that you live with. So this program may be being listened to or viewed by the individual who is not the person who has been injured. So we always like to reach out to that individual. You may be a friend of this person, you may be a coworker, or you may be the individual that they actually live with. So you're going to have to deal with these lifestyle changes yourself. So get over it, get over yourself, and get about going to help this individual to get through this process. It may be a short-term process at this point just because they've been injured and because their doctor has recommended that they lose 50 or 60 pounds, but this is something that you're going to have to help that person with. I'd like to thank some of my other sponsors, Memorial MRI and Diagnostics. They're at 1241 Campbell Road. Their phone number is 713-461-3399. The last program, we worked with IWP, and their number is 281-753-6770. And of course, you know, they help individuals with their medication. And you can access this program on the website at attymlcurry.net. And you can follow it on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And Dr. Higenbotham, I'd like you to give your phone number and your address.
My address is 1200 Benz, Suite 380, Houston, Texas. The telephone number is 713-571-2273, 713-571-CARE. We would like to invite you to attend our free overview to evaluate the Transitions Lifestyle System program. And our next overview will be on the 10th of September. And you can contact Kathleen Curry.
My wife.
Yes, and he gave you the website. And then we'll have a follow-up overview on the third. The third is the first one, I'm sorry, and then the 10th. Our next class will start September the 17th. So when you come to the overview, which is a free review of the program, you will in turn be invited to attend the class.
All right. So I want to thank all my listeners today and hope you had a wonderful time. Thanks.